So I, 31M, married Anastasia, 34F, 3 years ago. She had a son, Damon, 15, from her first marriage to Vincent, 38. Vincent left when Damon was 9, moved across state for some sales position, and paid child support exactly twice before Anastasia stopped chasing him. By the time I showed up, Damon had already decided every man who walked through the door was temporary. Anastasia told me that on our third date like a warning label. I took it as a challenge, first mistake. I'm not rich. I work as a warehouse supervisor. I pull overtime, budget to the dollar, and drive a 2016 Hyundai Tucson with 140K on it. Anastasia works part-time at a dental office 3 days a week. Between us, we cover rent on a 3-bedroom, utilities, groceries, and Damon's expenses, which if you've ever had a kid in competitive hockey, you know is basically a second mortgage. I never complained. I figured that's what you do when you marry someone with a kid. Damon made it clear from week 1 that I was not his father, not his friend, and not welcome. I tried for months, drove him to practice at 5 a.m. Saturdays, sat through tournaments and arenas so cold my hands went numb, helped with algebra. He never said thank you, and I stopped expecting it. Anastasia always said he was still processing his dad leaving, and I needed to give him time. 3 years of time. About 4 months ago, Damon's league moved up a division. New gear requirements. Skates, pads, helmet, bag, almost $1,400 total. Anastasia asked if we could swing it. We had maybe $600 after bills. She suggested I ask my mom Bethany, 58, who already lent us $2,000 for our security deposit that I hadn't paid back. Hard no. So I sold my grandfather's watch, a 1971 automatic, nothing fancy to a collector but worth about $900 to the right buyer. Found someone on a watch forum, shipped it, and got the money in a week. Combined with what we had, I covered everything plus skate guards and tape. Didn't make a speech about it, just handled it. 3 weeks later, Thursday night, I came home from a double shift around 11 p.m. Anastasia and Damon were in the living room laughing hard. I walked in and she had her phone out, barely looked up. I asked what was funny. She said just a TikTok thing. Damon said something like, "Oh, you should see the one we made of you," grinning in a way that wasn't friendly. I asked Anastasia to show me. She hesitated, then handed the phone over. The account was called Broke Stepdad Chronicles. It had 47 videos. 47. The latest was day 125. It showed me asleep on the couch in my work clothes, zoomed in with a filter that made me look older. Caption, "Exhausted from doing the bare minimum." Comments full of people laughing. One said stepdads always think overtime is a personality trait. I scrolled. Videos of my car with captions about how broke I was. Videos of the fridge after grocery day making fun of store brand stuff. One from Christmas where Damon opened my gift, a $50 gift card, caption, "When your stepdad's love language is the clearance rack." 4 months of this. Anastasia was in half the videos. She wasn't just allowing it, she was co-directing, adding captions, picking music. I asked how long this had been going on. She said it started as a joke between her and Damon, something to bond over, not serious. I asked if making fun of me while I sold my dead grandfather's watch to pay for her son's gear was bonding. She told me I was overreacting and nobody watched the channel. It had 11,000 followers. 11,000 people watching me get humiliated in my own home. I set the phone on the counter and went to the bedroom. Sat there about 20 minutes and made a decision. Packed a bag, took my documents, my laptop, and left at midnight. Drove 40 minutes to my mom's place, showed Bethany the account. She watched 3 videos, closed the phone, and said she'd been waiting for me to wake up about Anastasia for 2 years. That was Thursday. Phone off all Friday. Saturday morning, I turned it on. 34 missed calls from Anastasia. 12 from Damon's phone. Texts going from, "Are you serious right now?" to "Please tell me you're safe. Damon is upset. We need to talk." Damon texted, "Bro, it was just jokes. You're being dramatic." I haven't responded. But I'm not sitting here feeling sorry for myself. I'm angry. For the first time in 3 years, I see it clearly. Anastasia didn't start that account because Damon needed bonding. She started it because she actually sees me that way. The broke guy, the placeholder, the one who does the work while they laugh about it. Vincent left them with nothing, and I filled every gap and they turned me into content. I'm not going back for a conversation. I'm going back for what's mine, and to make sure they understand what they lost. I have a plan. Update coming. 47 videos. I need everyone to sit with that number for a second. That is not a joke that got out of hand. That is a routine. That is someone waking up in the morning going, "What did he do today that I can film?" This man is out here selling heirlooms. Not a PlayStation, not some random thing from a garage sale. A piece of his grandfather. A man who is gone, Gone forever, that watch is never coming back. And 3 weeks later, his sacrifice gets turned into B-roll for a comedy channel. And Anastasia's defense is, it was bonding with Damon. Lady, you know what else bonds with your kid? Maybe telling him, hey, this man just sold something irreplaceable so you can play hockey. Maybe say thank you. That bonds. But no, she chose the route where bonding meant finding new camera angles to humiliate the man paying for everything. And I gotta talk about exhausted from doing the bare minimum as a caption on a man sleeping after a double shift. Bare minimum? Bare minimum. This man is working 16 hours, comes home, falls asleep in his work clothes because his body literally gave out, and that's content? That's comedy? You know who does the bare minimum? Vincent. Vincent is out there paying child support exactly twice. Like it was a free trial he forgot to cancel, and he's the upgrade apparently. Bethany watching 3 videos and saying, I've been waiting for you to wake up. That woman saw the whole movie while her son was still reading the opening credits. Mothers always know. And, bro, it was just jokes from Damon. My guy, you are 15 years old wearing $1,400 worth of gear bought with a dead man's watch, and you're calling the person who made that happen bro, while telling him he's dramatic. The entitlement is so thick you could skate on it. Update 1. Alright, a lot happened since my last post, so let me just get into it. I stayed at Bethany's through the weekend. Sunday morning, Anastasia showed up at my mom's apartment. She didn't call first. She just drove the 40 minutes and knocked. Bethany opened the door and told her I didn't want to see her. Anastasia started going off right there in the hallway about how I was blowing this out of proportion and that she'd been trying to reach me for 2 days and I was acting like a child. Bethany told her the only child in the situation was the grown woman who spent 4 months filming her husband for strangers to laugh at. Anastasia kept pushing, saying she needed to talk to me directly, that this was between us. I was sitting in the kitchen, and I could hear all of it, and honestly, part of me wanted to let her stand there. But I got up and went to the door. She started immediately. She said I left without giving her a chance to explain, that the TikTok thing got out of hand, but it was never meant to be cruel. That Damon had been the one pushing it, and she went along because it was the first time in years he actually wanted to spend time with her. She said I had no idea how hard it was being a single mom before I came along, how Damon shut her out the same way he shut me out. And when they started making those videos together, it was the only thing that made him open up. She told me she knew it was wrong, but she didn't think I'd ever find out. And by the time the account grew, she didn't know how to stop without losing that connection with Damon again. I let her talk. I let her get the whole thing out. Then I asked her one question. I asked if Damon knew about the watch. She said yes. I asked if she told him or if he figured it out on his own. She said she told him because she wanted him to understand that I was making real sacrifices for him and maybe it would help him respect me more. So this kid knew I sold something irreplaceable from my dead grandfather to buy his gear, and 3 weeks later he filmed me sleeping and captioned it, exhausted from doing the bare minimum. And Anastasia added the music and posted it. She tried to redirect, saying she understood why I was hurt but that punishing Damon for being a teenager was unfair, and that walking out on them was an overreaction. I told her I wasn't punishing anybody. I was removing myself from a situation where I was being used and mocked simultaneously. She asked what I wanted her to do. I told her to take down every single video, delete the account entirely, and I wanted Damon to say it to my face that he understood what he did. She said she'd talk to him. I said no. I said I wasn't coming back to that apartment until it was done, and I could see proof. She left. I figured it'd be handled by Monday. It was not. Monday evening, Anastasia texted me a screenshot showing the account was set to private, not deleted. Private. I called her and asked why it wasn't gone. She said Damon refused to delete it because he'd built an audience and some of his hockey teammates followed the account and thought it was hilarious and he didn't want to lose that. She said she tried, but he threw a fit and locked himself in his room. I told her that was not my problem. She said I was being rigid and that compromise was part of marriage. I told her there is no compromise on public humiliation. Here's where it gets worse, and this is the part I need advice on. Tuesday, I went back to the apartment while Anastasia was at work and Damon was at school. I needed clothes and a few things. While I was packing, I opened the laptop we share for bills because I needed to grab a tax document I'd saved there. The browser was still logged into Anastasia's TikTok creator dashboard. I wasn't planning on looking, but it was right there. The account wasn't just some silly joke page. It was monetized. She had applied for and gotten accepted into the creator fund. There were earnings. Not huge money, maybe $340 total over 4 months. But she had been making money off those videos of me. She never mentioned that once during our conversation at Bethany's door. Not once. I took screenshots of the dashboard, the earnings page, the payout history, everything. I also noticed something else. In the drafts folder, there were 6 unreleased videos. One of them was filmed in our bedroom while I was changing after a shower. You could see me from behind in a towel, and the draft caption said, "POV, your stepdad thinks he's built after carrying boxes all day." That video was filmed without me knowing, in our bedroom. I closed the laptop, finished packing, and left. I called Gabriella, 29, who is Anastasia's younger sister and honestly the only person in that family who has ever been straight with me. I've known her since before the wedding. She was at our engagement dinner, and she's always been reasonable. I told her what I found. She was quiet for a long time, then said she'd had a bad feeling about the account since Anastasia first mentioned it to her weeks ago, but didn't realize how far it had gone. She asked what I was going to do. I told her I was done being the guy who just takes it. I told her I wanted the account gone. I wanted a real conversation with Damon where he actually has to sit across from me and deal with what he did. And I wanted Anastasia to understand that this wasn't a rough patch we were going to hug out. Gabriella said she'd try to talk to Anastasia, but warned me that Anastasia had already been telling their parents that I abandoned her and Damon over a silly internet joke and that I was being emotionally abusive by giving them the silent treatment. So now I'm the abuser. I sold a family heirloom, worked doubles, covered everything, got secretly filmed, monetized, mocked in front of 11,000 strangers, and now I'm the villain because I had the nerve to leave. I'm not done. I have a next step planned, and it involves Vincent. More on that soon. Every single layer of this gets worse, and I genuinely didn't think that was possible. Anastasia drove 40 minutes to Bethany's apartment, not to apologize, not to show remorse, to tell this man he's overreacting. She pulled up to his mother's house with the audacity of someone who didn't just run a 4-month surveillance operation on her own husband. And her excuse. Oh, her excuse. It was the only thing that made Damon open up. So let me get this straight. Your son, who has been cold and distant for years, finally warms up to you. And the activity that unlocked that warmth was collectively degrading. The one person keeping your household afloat. That was the bonding activity you chose to protect? Not cooking together, not watching movies, not literally anything else on this planet. No, the sacred mother-son ritual was filming a man in his sleep and writing captions about how pathetic he is. And then, she told Damon about the watch. She told him. She sat this kid down and said, "Hey, your stepdad sold his grandfather's watch so you could play hockey," specifically hoping it would make Damon respect him. And Damon absorbed that information, processed it with his whole 15-year-old brain, and his takeaway was great material for day 125. That is not a teenager being a teenager. That is someone who has been taught by example by his own mother that this man's sacrifices are a joke. And then the monetization. $340. She turned her husband into a revenue stream. It's not even good money. She destroyed her marriage for what averages out to like $85 a month. You can't even fill a gas tank with that. And the bedroom video? I don't even have jokes for that part. Filming someone half naked in their own bedroom without their knowledge is not content creation. That is a violation. And now she's out here telling her parents he's the abusive one? The man whose biggest crime was buying store-brand peanut butter while keeping the lights on. Anastasia is speedrunning the narcissist playbook. Do something awful, get caught, blame the person who caught you, then tell everyone you're the victim. It's textbook. Update 2. Buckle up, because this one is long and messy and I'm still running on about 4 hours of sleep. So a bunch of you asked about the Vincent angle I mentioned at the end of my last update. Here's what happened. I'd had Vincent's number saved for over a year. Anastasia kept it in a notebook in the kitchen drawer, the one with all the insurance info and Damon's medical cards. And I copied it back when I was handling Damon's hockey registration because the league needed both biological parents' contact info. I never used it. Never had a reason to. Until now. I didn't call Vincent to team up or be buddies. I called him because Damon is his kid, and if his son's face is on a public TikTok account with 11,000 followers, he has a right to know. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't also want to watch the fallout. Vincent picked up on the second ring. I introduced myself, told him I was Anastasia's husband, and before I could say anything else, he got defensive immediately, said he didn't owe back support, and that Anastasia needed to stop sending people after him. I told him I wasn't calling about money. I told him his 15-year-old son had his face on a social media account with thousands of followers, and that some of the content was filmed inside bedrooms, and that Anastasia was earning money from it. He got real quiet. I sent him the screenshots, the account name, the follower count, the creator fund dashboard, 2 of the video thumbnails. I told him Damon was a minor, and that neither of them had asked my permission to film me. And I figured they probably hadn't asked his permission either, since some of the earlier videos referenced him too. There was one from about 3 months back where Damon talked about his real dad versus his stepdad, and the caption was upgrade versus downgrade, and Vincent was the upgrade. Funny thing is, Vincent hadn't sent a single dollar or birthday card in 6 years. But sure, he's the upgrade. Vincent said he'd handle it. I told him I didn't care how he handled it, I just wanted him aware. That call lasted maybe 9 minutes. But the effect was immediate. By Wednesday evening, Anastasia called me absolutely losing it. She said Vincent had contacted her for the first time in over a year and told her that if Damon's image wasn't removed from every platform within 48 hours, he was going to file a complaint about unauthorized use of a minor's likeness. She was furious because she knew I was the one who told him. She kept saying I went behind her back, that I had no right to involve Vincent, that this was between us and I was dragging other people into it to punish her. I told her she dragged 11,000 strangers into our marriage first, and I was just making sure the people who actually had legal standing were informed. She switched tactics. She started talking about Damon, saying he was confused, that he'd been crying, that he didn't understand why I was doing all this over some videos. I asked if Damon was confused about the video he filmed of me in a towel in our bedroom, or if that part was crystal clear to him. She went silent. Then she said she didn't know about that specific video, that Damon must have done it on his own. I told her it was in her drafts folder on her account with a caption written in her style. She said she didn't remember it. I told her I had the screenshot and the metadata showed it was saved under her login. That conversation ended with her saying I was destroying our family. I told her I wasn't the one who built a content channel out of destroying it. Thursday, things escalated further. Gabriella called me and said Anastasia and their parents had a huge fight. Apparently, Anastasia had been telling their mom and dad that I walked out because I couldn't handle a joke. But when Gabriella showed them some of the actual videos on her phone, their dad watched the Christmas gift card one and the sleeping one and then told Anastasia she should be ashamed of herself. Their mom tried to mediate and said every couple goes through rough patches, but their dad wasn't having it. He told Anastasia that if her first husband left because he got tired of her attitude, maybe she should think about why the second one is leaving too. Gabriella said Anastasia locked herself in the bathroom and didn't come out for an hour. Now here's the part that made me realize this was deeper than I thought. Gabriella told me something I'd never known. The reason Anastasia started treating me like the broke placeholder wasn't random. Apparently, before I came along, Anastasia had been talking to a guy she met through the dental office, some sales rep who came in regularly, and they went on a few dates, but he wasn't interested in taking on a kid. He told her pretty directly that she was great, but Damon was a deal breaker. After that, she settled for me. Gabriella's exact words were that Anastasia always saw me as the guy who said yes when the guy she actually wanted said no. And Damon picked up on that energy from day one. That's why he never respected me. His mom didn't. I sat with that for about an hour. I didn't call anyone. I didn't text. I just sat at Bethany's kitchen table and ate leftover pasta and thought about 3 years of 5 a.m. hockey drives and overtime shifts and store-brand groceries and a watch I can never get back. Friday morning, Anastasia texted asking if we could meet in person. Just the two of us. Neutral ground? No Damon. No parents. She said she had something to tell me, and she wanted to do it face-to-face. Normally I'd say no, but I have my own thing to say too, and I want to see her face when I say it. That meeting is tomorrow. I'll update after. The Vincent call was surgical. 9 minutes. That's all it took. 9 minutes to do what 3 years of patience and sacrifice and 5 a.m. drives couldn't do. Make Anastasia actually face a consequence. And I love that Vincent picked up the phone ready to argue about child support he hasn't paid since the Obama administration. Like, that's what someone would be calling about. My guy, you've been so absent your own son made a TikTok ranking you above the man who actually shows up, and you still think the world revolves around whether or not you owe money. But credit where it's due, Vincent heard, your minor son's face is on a monetized account with bedroom footage, and he actually did something. Took him 6 years to act like a parent, but hey, better late than the child support. And Anastasia, you're destroying our family. Ma'am, you built a content empire on disrespecting your husband. You had a creator fund dashboard. You had a drafts folder. You were running this like a small business. QuickBooks for cruelty. And now that the walls are closing in from every direction, husband gone, Vincent threatening legal action, your own father telling you to be ashamed. Now the family matters, now it's sacred. But honestly, the Gabriella revelation is the thing that rewired my entire understanding of this story. The guy who said yes, when the guy she actually wanted said no. That line is going to live in my head for a while. because it explains everything. It explains why Damon never respected him. Kids are emotional sponges. They absorb what's unspoken even better than what's said out loud. If your mom treats a man like a consolation prize, you're going to treat him like one too. Anastasia didn't just fail as a wife. She programmed her own son to see a hardworking, self-sacrificing man as something to laugh at. She taught a 15-year-old that loyalty, effort, and showing up every day are punchlines. And that kid is going to carry that lesson into every relationship he ever has unless someone intervenes hard. And that image of this man sitting alone at his mother's kitchen table, eating leftover pasta, doing the math on 3 years of his life, that's not a dramatic moment. That's a man quietly realizing the entire foundation he built his life on was made of sand. And he's not even crying about it. He's just recalculating. Final update. This is the last one. I know a lot of you have been waiting, so I'm going to lay it all out. The meeting with Anastasia happened Saturday afternoon at a diner near the highway, halfway between Bethany's place and the apartment. She was already sitting in a booth when I got there. She looked tired. I sat down across from her and I didn't order anything. She had coffee she wasn't drinking. She started by saying she deleted the account. Fully deleted, not private, gone. She said Vincent's threat scared her, and her dad's reaction made her realize how bad it actually looked from the outside. She said she was sorry, that she let it spiral, and that she wanted to work on things. She said Damon was struggling without me at the apartment because apparently I was the one who kept the routine running. The groceries, the rides, the bills on autopay, all of it. She said the apartment already felt different and Damon had been eating cereal for dinner 3 nights in a row because she'd been too upset to cook and too broke to order food since I'd stopped transferring my half of expenses. I let her finish. Then I told her what Gabriella had told me about the sales rep from the dental office, about how she settled for me because the guy she actually wanted didn't want Damon. I watched her face change. She didn't deny it. She sat there for a good 30 seconds and then said that was a long time ago and it didn't matter anymore. I told her it mattered because it explained everything. It explained why she never defended me to Damon, why she let a 15-year-old treat me like furniture, why she could sit next to her son and laugh at videos calling me broke when I was the only person in that household working full-time. She didn't see me as her partner. She saw me as the fallback who should be grateful he got picked at all. She started crying and said that wasn't fair. I told her fair went out the window when she monetized my sleeping face for strangers on the internet. Then I told her what I came to say. I told her I'd already talked to a lawyer. Not about divorce yet, but about the videos. I told her that in our state, filming someone in a private space like a bedroom without consent and distributing it, even as a draft, is a violation. I told her the lawyer said the fact that she profited from content featuring me without a release was something I could pursue. I told her I wasn't filing anything yet, but I had every screenshot, every URL, every piece of metadata saved, and if that content resurfaced anywhere on any platform, under any account name, I would file immediately. I told her that applied to Damon too. If he re-uploaded anything or started a new account using footage of me, I would hold her responsible as his parent. She asked if I was threatening her. I told her I was informing her, same way she informed 11,000 followers about what brand of peanut butter I buy. Then I told her the financial part. I told her I was removing my name from the lease. Our lease renews in 6 weeks and I already contacted the landlord and told them I would not be re-signing. Anastasia can't afford that apartment on her part-time dental office salary alone. She'd need to either find a roommate, move to something cheaper, or ask Vincent to finally start paying what he owes. I also told her I was done covering Damon's hockey. Every cent. Registration, gear, gas, tournament fees, all of it. That was over. If Damon wanted to keep playing, his mother and his biological father, the so-called upgrade, could figure it out. She said I was punishing Damon for her mistakes. I told her Damon had 47 videos worth of chances to treat me like a human being, and he used every single one to treat me like a joke. I told her Damon is 15, not 5, and he made a choice every time he pointed that camera at me. She said I was the only stable adult male presence in his life, and removing myself would damage him. I told her she should have thought about that before she taught him that stable adult male presence was content. She asked what it would take for me to come back. I told her nothing. There was no version of this where I come back. I told her I wasn't doing this to negotiate. I was doing this because for 3 years I gave everything I had to people who thought I was a joke, and now I was taking it all back. Not to be cruel, because I finally respected myself enough to stop being their punchline. I got up and left. She stayed in the booth. Monday, I went back to the apartment one last time with Bethany. I took everything that was mine. My tools, my winter clothes, the rest of my documents, the small wooden box my grandfather kept the watch in. The box was empty now, but I took it anyway. Damon was home. He was sitting on the couch and he looked at me like he wanted to say something but didn't. I didn't give him an opening. I packed the car and Bethany and I drove back. That night, Anastasia sent me a long text. She said she understood why I left and she wasn't going to fight it. She said she was going to look for a cheaper apartment and that Vincent told her he'd start contributing again, but she wasn't holding her breath. She said Damon asked if I was ever coming back and she didn't know what to tell him. She asked if I could at least say goodbye to him properly. I didn't respond. I'm staying at Bethany's for now. I'm picking up extra shifts. I'm sleeping on a twin mattress in my old room with a box that used to hold a watch that used to belong to a man who never would have let anyone treat him the way I let them treat me for 3 years. That's over now. Shout out to every single one of you who told me to stop being the punchline. I heard you. I'm done being day 125 of anything. I told her I was informing her. Same way she informed 11,000 followers about what brand of peanut butter I buy. This man went to that diner and delivered a closing argument. No yelling, no begging, no theatrics. Just a man who finally knows his own worth sitting across from someone who never learned it, and calmly dismantling every single thread holding that situation together. The lease, the hockey, the legal boundaries, one by one by one. And Anastasia sitting there with untouched coffee watching her entire support system walk out the door in real time. That's not a punishment. That's a natural consequence. That's gravity. You remove the person holding everything up and everything falls. That's just physics. And she still tried the "you're punishing Damon for my mistakes" card. That card is expired. Damon is not a bystander in this. Damon is not some innocent kid who got caught in the crossfire. Damon picked up a camera 47 times. He knew about the watch. He knew this man sold a piece of his dead grandfather for his hockey gear. And he still chose "exhausted from doing the bare minimum" as a caption. 15 is old enough to understand cruelty. 15 is old enough to understand gratitude. He understood cruelty just fine. He just chose it because nobody in his life ever showed him that the man buying groceries and driving to 5 a.m. practices deserved anything other than contempt. And honestly, Damon sitting on that couch watching this man pack up, looking like he wanted to say something but didn't, that moment is going to sit with that kid for years. That's going to be one of those memories that hits him at 23 when he's struggling to pay rent and nobody's helping. And he suddenly understands what he had and what he threw away for likes from his hockey buddies. Because that's the tragedy of this whole thing. Damon didn't just lose a stepdad. He lost the only person who consistently showed up for him. And he's going to spend a long time learning what that costs. And that empty watch box. Man, he took the empty box. Because it's not about the watch anymore. It's about remembering who he comes from and who he's going to be from now on. His grandfather wouldn't have stayed. And now, finally, neither did he. This is one of those stories where I don't have a split verdict. I don't have a well, on the other hand. This man gave 3 years of his life to people who turned his existence into a comedy show, and the moment he decided he deserved better, they called him the villain. That tells you everything about how they saw him. Useful when present, unreasonable when gone. He's sleeping on a twin mattress at his mom's house right now, and I promise you, that's the best sleep he's had in 3 years. Because for the first time, nobody in that house thinks he's a joke. Go be day one of something better, man. You earned it.